Welcome to Doing Business in Africa. I'm Sue Beukes, and this time we're in Accra, the capital city of Ghana, a country that's received a lot of investor interest, and we're going to find out what it's like doing business here.
Coming up in the show, why American presidents love Ghana. The country's pending oil wealth. Can government manage the expected $1 billion a year revenue? Could this small West African nation become the breadbasket for the region? Can Ghana's small but thriving financial sector take on the region's giant, Nigeria? And how entrepreneurs are painting the new picture of Ghana through media, fashion, and artistic coffins. When Barack Obama was elected President of the United States, there were two countries apart from the US who were just as excited as his supporters at home. The one was Kenya, the home of Obama's father. The other was Ghana. During Obama's presidential election run, Ghana's current president, John Atta Mills, advocated the same message as Obama in his own election campaign.
Change has come to America.
That message was change. This was Ghana's fifth democratic election and the tightest one ever. And in a break from the wave of contested elections in Africa, Ghana's went off totally peacefully. It's this democratic success that President Obama chose to laud by making Ghana his first destination in sub-Saharan Africa as president of the world's most powerful nation.
Here in Ghana, you show us a face of Africa that is too often overlooked by a world that sees only tragedy or a need for charity. The people of Ghana have worked hard to put democracy on firmer footing, with repeated peaceful transfers of power, even in the wake of closely contested elections. And by the way, can I say that for that, the minority deserves as much credit as the majority.
This sentiment is shared by investors.
I think in Ghana it goes beyond political stability. We are really talking about good governance here, which is much more than political stability. And we'll find out that that has made us a much more attractive investment destination because people know that their property rights, for instance, will be respected. They can go to court if there is a problem, and the judiciary is independent, and they will get what is due them.
Even on the ground level, the sentiment seems to be the same. Ghana's government works.
If you come to the grassroots, for those of us who work with the district assemblies, I work in the Ghana West Municipal Assembly, and we have such a very good collaboration with them. Right now, we've even put in place what we call the Citizen Monitoring Committee, which is going to oversee the activities that the district assembly will be doing. So, the citizen engagement is very important in every governance system, and insofar as, that is being promoted in our society.
Ghana and the US have always had strong ties. The country is seen as somewhat of a pilgrimage for African Americans because it was a major slave trade point. It was the first country in Africa to obtain independence from colonial rule in 1957, and its founding father, Kwame Nkrumah, was the role model for African Americans during the civil rights movement. Obama's predecessors, Bill Clinton and George Bush, also paid Ghana a visit during their administration. And while Obama's trip was focused on promoting good governance and democracy, some analysts believe that in part it was also to cement relations in a bid to take advantage of the country's pending oil wealth.
For some time now, I know America has been considering the issue of the, oil, finding new markets. Since we announced oil, we've had many friends. We've had a lot of heads of states coming through Ghana for the visits, and I think people who want oil will find us, so the export is not really the big problem. Where the challenge is how we manage those oil revenues and what exactly we do with it. I think the benefit of oil is 3- or 4-fold. First of all, it just transforms our balance of payments instantly. That's the immediate effects. So you just have 30%, previously about 30% of our total expenditure is oil related. So you just have this being wiped off our balance of trade. We become net exporters.
Suitors are queuing up to capitalize on Ghana's oil resources. While this wealth is not near as much as Nigeria or Angola, the country's Jubilee field is one of the biggest discoveries in West Africa in over a decade. Jubilee, so named because it was discovered the same year Ghana celebrated 50 years of independence, is expected to produce around 120,000 barrels a day by next year. The field is controlled by Irish company Tullow Oil and America's Cosmos Energy, and is backed by 2 private equity companies and Ghana's government. The IMF says that along with natural gas, Jubilee alone could earn Ghana as much as $20 billion by 2030.
Ghana is sitting on the brink of an oil boom. It plans to become a major exporter, but it's also hoped that some of the oil processed here will be able to meet just some of the local demand.
Everybody right now in this world is trying to cope with the global crisis that occurred last year, not to mention the very volatile oil prices that are threatening a lot of sub-Saharan countries that are oil dependent, that are oil importers. And for us, that is an interesting situation, because right now we are an oil importer, but maybe in the next 2 years we'll be an oil exporter. So yes, there's a big challenge of how to get through now to the next 2 years. But once we get there, then I believe that we'll have a better revenue base to support the fiscal policies of the government and enable the country to grow.
While oil exports are expected to help Ghana's economy grow by 6% next year and 10.5% in 2011, it's downstreaming activities which will play a big part in Ghana's development. South Africa's new Alpha refinery signed an MOU with Ghana to build a $6 billion oil refinery in Accra, and it's prospects like this where local companies like CalBank are seeing opportunities.
We have taken a strategic decision to be downstream and upstream if possible, and so we have actually detailed staff and appointed a Western Corridor director. The Western Corridor is where the oil is, whose business it is to go around and find service companies who will provide all kinds of services to the oil industry. I'm happy to say that we've got quite a few companies in that sector open up accounts with us. And if you know Takrady, now that oil is coming in, you'll find that they don't have, for instance, enough schools. They don't have enough hotels. There's probably the housing requirements for that industry today. What is available can supply only say 10%. So there's opportunity for a lot of business without necessarily being in mainstream oil. And until we have the kind of balance sheet which will allow us to talk to the big boys about mainstream oil financing, we would be smart enough to realize our capabilities and limitations within our capabilities and operate in those ancillary sectors.
Ghana's record of good governance is enough for investors to have faith that the country won't suffer the same fate as Nigeria's troubled Niger Delta region.
There would be a lot of external pressure, not only from outsiders but from Ghanaians and all stakeholders watching. Yes, they will be able to manage it. They have to manage it. The contracts, most of the contracts were written before they came into government. And you know how, if you know how our parliament is now, it's a very, very, very close in terms of numbers. So there will be, the opposition will play a watchdog role. They found the oil whilst they were outside government. So they will really watch up to the letter what these guys are doing with oil revenues.
But there is concern that Ghana might be relying a little too much on the prospects of oil to solve all its problems. Doing Business in Africa is winner of the Best TV Feature of the Diageo Africa Business Reporting Awards.